Woman to Woman with Elder Valerie. I am your host, Elder Valerie Brown, and I am excited today to continue in our series of topics that have a financial implication on getting your house in order. I am so excited to introduce my guest for today, Miss Linda Thompson. Boy, she has a story that I am sure you're going to be calling your family and your friends and saying, we got to do this. If she can do this, we can do this. And this is why I had to have her on my show today. Miss Linda Thompson, thank you so much for accepting this invitation to be on our show and to tell us about your journey and your experiences, because you are going to bless so many people today. But before we get started, tell the audience who you are, what you do, and anything else you might like for us to know about you.
Yes, again, my name is Linda Thompson, and I work for the Coast Guard. I am a program analyst for the Coast Guard, and I am the director of marketing for Holy Rollers Bakery.
Yay, the best bakery. I was going to say in Chesapeake, but that I know. Yes.
And also, I am the leasing manager for my mom's real estate. I am the leasing manager for my niece's real estate as well.
Ooh, nice, nice. Well, very nice. Okay. I wasn't trying to cut you off. You can keep going. Tell us all the good stuff that you do.
Yeah, so that's what I do. And also I take care of my mother who's suffering from dementia. So I do work a lot of hours, but I have been working a lot of hours because I have been trying to pay off my house.
That's right. That's your story that we're going to share. I mean, I'm just listening to your introduction, and that was immediately what came to my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing all these things. How is she able to discipline? And that word just came in my mind, to do all the things that you do and find the time that I know to accomplish this journey or this goal that we're going to be talking about today. Well, she's already let the cat out of the bag, but Linda has paid off her primary home. And y'all, let me tell you, I was honored to have been invited to her home burning mortgage of that note. We actually put it on the grill and set it on fire. Yes, we did. I hope we have a clip of that we're going to be able to show you. But it was so exciting. And I tell you, she doesn't have just a little hut, y'all. I mean, I want to make sure we understand this. She has a beautiful home. And you are single?
Yes, ma'am, I'm single.
Whew, that means one primary income, but you heard her say, no, and I got to have you back already, because when we talk about finances, I always talk about having multiple streams of income and how important that is. And I'm just talking about, I mean, it doesn't have to be, two primary major incomes, but just having other sources of income, whether it's, interest income, dividend income, rental income, other ways that you can do that. But that's for another show, so hold that thought for just a moment. But tell us about your journey. First of all, just tell me, what made you want to pay off your mortgage? I mean, the average person gets a 30-year mortgage and they say, I'm going to pay that for 30 years because I'm not trying to take any extra money to pay toward paying it off. If I pay it off, fine. If I never pay it off, fine. What made you want to pay off your mortgage?
Well, when I was 26 years old,
okay,
I went to a construction site and I got my first house built.
Okay.
And I looked at my mortgage paperwork and I said to myself, this is a lot of money I'm paying towards interest.
Yes.
On the 30-year. And
yes.
So I said, I don't want to have a 30-year mortgage payment. Mm-hmm. But then, unfortunately, my dad passed. Mm-hmm. And so I had to build another house with a mother-in-law suite attached to it. And then that's when I built the house that I have right now.
All right.
And so all the money that I got from that house, I put every last penny into the house that I live in now.
So when you sold the first house, obviously you were in a situation where you had some profits or some equity in it.
Yes.
That you were able, once you got to closing, you had some extra money.
Yes.
Okay.
I had over $30,000
nice.
In equity.
Very nice.
And I put every penny
yes.
plus some into the new house.
Well, here we go. We can stop right here at lesson number 1, whether it's equity in your home or whether you're leaving a job, because I hear this all the time. People leave a job and they may get a distribution from their 401k or their 403b or their retirement plan, and instead of rolling it over, we spend it. We get that money in our pocket and it burns a hole in our pocket. But did you hear what Linda said? When she got all the equity out of the first home, she didn't spend any of it. She didn't go buy a new car. She took all of it and put it in the new home as a down payment.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I took, a lot of the money I took toward, because I drew and built my second house. I drew all the dimensions.
Nice.
And I gave it to the architect to draw it the architectural way.
Okay.
And so all the money I was paying for the roof, paying for the electrician, the plumber, paying for different things out of my money that I had. And so after...
Okay, let me make sure I understand that. So when you were paying the architect and things up front, you had to still use some other funds. This is prior to you getting the construction loan?
Yes, I was using my personal savings.
So here's point number 2 then. You obviously, even with your first home, had already started having a plan of discipline to save.
Yes.
So that when you got in this position or this opportunity, you also had other resources to rely on. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. So then once the house was built, I realized that I had several $100,000 in equity just by purchasing the land and subcontracting the house out.
Okay, okay.
So I got my mortgage statement and I looked at it and it's like, I could, with just the interest alone, I could get a brand new Mercedes just with the interest.
Right.
And I was very disappointed on how much interest people are paying on a 30-year.
That's correct.
So I switched over and got a 15-year.
Okay.
And once I got to 15, it's still worse than a loan shark. Even a 15-year mortgage, the interest is outrageous.
Okay, well, let's help the people that are watching to help them to understand a couple of things. Yes, you cut your time in half by getting a 15-year mortgage, but with a 15-year mortgage, your payment obviously went up substantially. Or did they refinance it such that the remaining balance was now redone over the 15 years so that your mortgage didn't change, or had interest rates dropped? Because all of those things factor into what your new payment became. How did that happen for you?
I got a 3.375
interest
rate.
So interest rates were going down?
But even though it was 3.375, it was worse than a loan shark as far as the interest rate.
Interest, right.
And so, have you heard of a recast?
No.
Okay. So I was in bed and I was just thinking to myself, and I was praying to God, and I was like, Jesus, it has to be a way so that I can get my 15-year, but not have my mortgage to go up.
That's correct.
So I kept calling the bank and asking them, and they were saying, no, we don't have anything unless you refinance.
Right.
I called at least 8 times, and I got several different people, and finally I got someone that said, you can do a recast.
Okay.
If you put several $1,000s down, you would pay less per month on your principal and interest. And so when I did the 15, it was the same amount that I was paying for the 30.
Oh, wow. That
and it's
is
called
wonderful.
a recast. And the banks are not going to tell you. Some people at the bank really don't know anything about a recast.
Well, I guess so, because so few people will be able to take advantage of it.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so I was able to take advantage of that.
Now, is that similar to, and maybe similar to what I even did, but I don't know the term recast, but you talked about having to put several $1,000s down in order to do it. Was that equivalent to like 5%, and as well, you had to have not missed any payments in the last 3 years? There were like a number of hoops that you had to jump through in order to qualify for that?
Well, I wouldn't know that because I have perfect credit.
That's where I was going to go to next, because we did a similar thing. They didn't use the name recast, but it sounds like it was a very similar program, because I was interested in doing the same thing, paying the house off. And when I called, because interest rates were dropping.
Yes.
So we were going to refinance. And the woman that I talked to on the phone said the same thing. She pulled up our stuff and she said, oh, you might qualify for this new program that we have. And I'm like, okay, what is that? And you had to have, for the last 3 years, not been late on a payment. And you had to pay 5% of the remaining balance in order to get into the program, which is, I guess, the several $100,000, whatever, that you paid. But we didn't have to do it because we had been paying extra on our mortgage anyway.
Yes.
So they allowed that to qualify for the payment. They refinanced us for the thing, and of course I paid it off, and it didn't increase our mortgage either.
Yes.
But more was going toward principal than interest. So
Yes.
Linda, I hope we're saying a whole lot in one sentence, and I just don't want y'all to miss all the nuggets that Linda is talking about. And the last one was, one, you got to have good credit. Now, that's not saying everybody's got to have an 800 score, but one of the things, if y'all follow me on Instagram, Elder VKB, you need to be following me. I just posted a statement that said why you pay your bills on time. You promised somebody that you would pay your bills on time, so you really should be paying your bills on time. If you pay your bills on time, you get a great credit score, and your score goes up over time. When you're not late, you pay on time, you pay early, and those are pivotal standards in order for you to get the next point you heard. She got 3.3 interest rate when rates were going down. I know they've gone back up now, but you have to be ready when these opportunities come up. And far too often when the opportunity presents itself, we haven't been doing what we were supposed to be doing, which is paying your bills in your history so that your credit is good, so that when the opportunity comes up, you can take advantage of it. So
Absolutely.
what Linda has shared with us is that she has good credit. She's been doing what she was supposed to do. She's been saving money her whole life. And I want to backtrack to that, because that's not something that the average person just does. Somebody taught you, said to you, encouraged you, showed you why it's so important way back here to have been saving, so that when this opportunity presented itself, you had money in the bank. Because I know I heard a couple of people tune out as soon as you said that, because they were like, well, I don't have no money in the bank, so that's not going to help me. Well, you can start today by saving. So
Yes.
let's just backtrack just a little bit for one quick second. Where in your life, because you said, you know, you were 26 when you first bought the first house or whatever, but obviously you were already saving prior to that.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Because I have a lot of people that say, oh, Elder, where were you when I was 18? Or I wish someone had told me. What instilled you, or who put in you, obviously at an earlier age than 26, to save your money? Where did that come from, and why?
My dad taught all of us
Okay.
about saving your money and also paying your bills on time.
Okay.
Because he told us.
Now,
when
did he have a story? Why was he like that? Because there are a lot of parents who didn't teach their children that.
My dad, he didn't have a mother and father.
Okay.
He grew up very poor,
Uh-huh.
but God helped him. And he said the number one thing to being successful in this world is paying your 10%. You have to pay your 10%.
Yeah, right.
If you don't pay your 10%, you're not going to get what God has for you.
Wow.
Even if if you think you're doing very good, you could be doing
So much
better.
Right.
But you have to pay your tithes.
Wow. That is so important.
It starts there
With
from
him.
paying your 10%, and not just paying your 10%. My dad said you have to pay your 10%. You have to pay offering, and you have to give to the poor.
Right.
And that's what I've been doing for several
Wow.
decades.
Well, a lot of people have heard people say that. And of course, if you go to the Mount or any of our teachers, you've heard us say that. But it's not enough just to hear somebody say it, obviously, because if it was, everybody would be doing it. So clearly it was because you respected your dad. You obviously saw in his life that become fruitful and became the witness for you to say, this works. Okay.
So I saw a lot of people playing the lottery, and so I decided my lottery is going to be in my tithe.
Uh-oh.
Because I'm going to give it to God.
Uh-oh.
Because in the Word, God says in the Word what we should do. And if we do it His way, He's going to push us to the level where we need to be. Sometimes I drive up to my house and I look at the house and it's like, who live here? Me? How did I get to this point because I went by the principle. And can I give you a
Yep, I want you
Yes.
to, but we're going to take a break right here. Linda's getting
Okay.
ready to preach to us,
Okay.
y'all. This is going to get good. But look, we got to take a break. We're going to show you what we do at KW Brown and what other resources we have to offer you. But stay tuned. We'll be right back.
For 2 years, KW Brown Ministries has been working tirelessly to give you exactly what you need. You've asked for it. Tools for hope, tools for information, tools for inspiration. Stay tuned for October 9th, 2022.
All right, I hope you saw all the resources that we have to offer you for KW Brown Ministries and that you take advantage of them. But we're excited to come right back. We cut Linda off right when she was getting ready to take that platform and preach to us. So I don't want her to lose her train of thought. So Linda, please go right back to where you were and telling us about how you were inspired to do what you do and what's so important. What are those principal steps?
Well, I think it's very important to have principles in your life. And so I would like to give an illustration
Absolutely.
about a baseball field.
Okay.
So on the baseball field, have you ever played softball,
Yes,
baseball?
absolutely.
Okay, so you know you have first base, second base, third base, and home.
Yes.
So if you hit the ball, if you're a batter up and you hit the ball, first base is ties. Second base is paying your bills. Third base is saving and paying more towards your principal. So if you make six figures and you hit the ball and you start running towards first base, but you detour and go to second base, third base, and slide into home, you're out.
Okay.
I don't care how far you hit it. You can hit it past the ball. You can hit it out of the ballpark. If you don't touch first base and pay your
Oh,
tithes,
wow.
you're out.
That's great.
I don't care
I
how
love
hard
that
you hit
illustration.
it, you're
Right.
out.
Gotcha.
And so you have to
That's
go
good.
by the principles. You got to hit the ball. You got to go to first base, second base, third base, and slide into home.
Wow.
I would like to look at myself as the second batter. I'm the
Okay.
second batter up.
Okay.
I don't make six figures.
Right.
But I know how to hit the ball. And after I hit the ball, if I have the opportunity to go to first base, second base, God is going to let that person not catch the ball
Okay.
and allow me to go to third and slide into
I hear
home
you. I
because
hear
I'm a
you.
tither.
Okay.
If you're a tither, I'm telling you, I'm begging everybody. It works. I am a living witness. Whatever you do in life, you have to love God and you have to give him his 10%. My brother told me before, I said, well, I got into a little situation that I couldn't pay my tithes.
Okay.
He said, look, Linda, you have to give God his money up front.
First.
Turn your telephone off.
Wow.
Turn your cell phone off.
Wow.
Go get a second job. Whatever you have to do, this cash flow has to keep coming in.
Okay.
It's not going to keep coming in if you don't give God his 10%.
Wow.
And so,
Okay, I don't want to stop your testimony, but I got to ask you this. That's hard. I mean, I hear you saying it, and I'm sure people are listening like, I'm not turning off my cable, and I'm not doing this. Where is that conviction? I mean, I hear it in your voice and in your testimony, and I understand it, but the average person is just not going to do that. Where and what made you say, okay, I'm going to do this?
the average person does not have a real personal relationship with God.
Okay.
If you're
All
coming
right
to
now.
church,
Okay.
if you're coming to church and you're giving offering, that's not tithes.
That's right.
Tithes is 10%.
Absolutely.
And then offering, you're giving your offering, but tithes is the number. God asks us to pay our 10%. It's not to help him, it's to help us with our life.
I agree. Okay, so and I know we're going off base just a little bit, but all this is full circle. Where did you start with your relationship with God? I mean, because I think that's important, because that has become, as I hear it, the root of why you do and where your commitment has come from. Tell us about your relationship with Christ and when it got so serious to the point that you really could hear them. Because we get that question as well. You know, how do I know this is God? You know, what is it that you did in your life for those who say, I wish I had that level of commitment and relationship with God, that I would turn my TV off? What happened in your life, or at what point did you begin to establish that kind of relationship with Christ?
When I was in my 20s, I was paying over $100 a month for church.
Okay.
And I would be like proud that I was doing it. And my dad said, Linda, go get my Bible. First he asked me, how much are you paying? I told him.
Right.
He said, go get my Bible. Go get your Bible, his Bible.
Right.
And he said, turn to Malachi.
Wow.
He said, I'm going to tell you right now, your siblings are going to leave you behind. Because everybody
in your family
was paying 10% from cutting grass, babysitting.
Anything.
They were doing
any
the principal.
source of income. Any source of income.
Whatever you get.
Yes.
So this is what they were doing.
Okay.
And I was out shopping, doing a lot of crazy stuff.
Right.
And so my dad said everyone was going to leave me behind.
Wow.
And at that point, I said, I don't want to be left behind. And I had the desire to please God and do things his way.
Correct.
And not my way, because it wasn't working my way.
Right.
Because the money I was putting in my pocket, it was like I had a hole in my pocket.
There it is.
And it wasn't working for me.
Right.
But once I started doing things the right way, and I went home and I went in my walk-in closet and I just cried to God, and I told God, I said, if you get me to the point that I can pay my 10%, I'm going to do this moving forward. And I was in my 20s.
Okay, so you asked God, you went into your own prayer closet, and you said to God, help me to get there where I can have this 10%.
Yes.
And we know God answers prayers, because obviously you're a living witness of that. But I want to go back to those who, and I'm not going to make it secular, but I'm going to make it secular, because you said something that I just know, even if you don't have a relationship with God, you heard that statement. She said, my dad said, your siblings going to leave you behind. Now, that's one of the reasons that I think a lot of people don't give to church, because they are so busy trying to keep up with the Joneses that they're spending the tithe to get the car, get the house, get the clothes, get the bag, because they believe that's what's helping them keep up with the Joneses, when in reality, what you're sharing with us is skip that one bag, buy just a little bit less a car, and pay your tithes, and you will supersede and far exceed those people that you think you're trying to keep up with, because in essence, what you're saying is, your dad shared with you the biblical principles of, if you give, it shall be given back to you.
Yes.
And the more you give, the more you get, contrary to what people believe. So you're following that principle of give to God, and my siblings won't leave me behind, or your Joneses, or whoever it is that you might be comparing yourself to, which we shouldn't be. But the reality is we are flesh, and we want things that we see. And on an earlier program, we talked about the influence of social media, and we see people having things, and so it puts this desire in us to want those things. But don't get them the wrong way. Get them the right way. Pay your tithes and allow God to prosper you in such a way that he will make what you desire to be the right things to give you the fulfillment.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, when I was working my part-time job, my coworkers laughed at me. They were making fun of me, saying, Linda only have 2 pair of jeans and 2 pair sneakers that she has been wearing for the last 10 years. And I said, it's okay. I said, because I have my eyes on the prize. And I said, as long as I'm paying my tithes, God knows what I'm trying to do, and I am going to reach my goal.
Okay, Linda, I mean, you're just saying so many rich things. There is always this, and it's not even an adage, it really is the truth. You can be walking down the street or driving a car beside a billionaire and never know he or she is a billionaire. And,
Yes.
and we use an example of a local billionaire that we know in our area that drives a Ford pickup. I mean, and if you did not know he was a billionaire,
Yes.
you wouldn't know it. And you got other people that are broke, couldn't come up with $1,000 if their life depended on it, but they got the Gucci bag, the Chanel bag, and driving the Benz, the Maybach, and everything else, and couldn't come up with $1,000 cash if their life depended on it. So here you are saying you got 2 pair of jeans and 2 pair of sneakers, but you got a house that's paid off. So again, it's priorities.
Yes.
It's not about showing people that I got something. It's about establishing goals, and I heard you say that. That's why I said you're saying so many rich nuggets. You got to have a goal in your life, what it is that you're trying to achieve, and stay focused on
Yes.
that. So what you're sharing is what was more important to you is paying off your house than having 5 pair of jeans or 5 pair of sneakers
Yes.
or carrying that Gucci or Chanel, whatever it is. So again, I mean, just so rich. What made you not fall susceptible or prey to then social media? The friends that you hang around with, do they carry Chanels? Do they take big trips? I mean, because who you hang around influences you greatly. And if your friends got a Chanel, I want a Chanel. If they taking big trips, I want a big trip. If they in debt, I'm in debt. Who are you hanging around, or who are you listening to? You've already shared your father has passed. So what is keeping you going so that you don't fall prey to the social media and your friends and the things that are around you? Because that's hard to...
Yes.
Yeah.
What keeps me grounded is being around women like Elder Val. I have friends that are more concerned and more interested in pleasing God.
Gotcha.
So when you want to please God...
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for keep saying this,
That's
but when you want to please God, you want to do the right thing, you want to live your life right, you pay your tithes, and God is going to give you much more.
Absolutely.
You think that you're losing money when you're giving, but you're getting much more back in return. And again, I am a living witness. And so my friends are women like you, not on your level, because you're all the way up here.
No, I'm right there with you,
But I have friends that are living their life the way God wants them to live their life, and they are doing things the right way. So when you're doing things the right way, you don't care about what people are saying.
Right.
What can they do for you? If you are on social media and you're showing about some Chanel pocketbook, or you're showing this, who cares?
Right.
How is that really helping you?
But there's a lot of people who do care.
Why don't you be on social media saying, I paid my tithes and now I'm waiting for my blessing? But here's one major thing. People think that they can pimp God.
Yeah.
They feel that I can pay my tithes for a month or 2 years or whatever, but God is watching. God knows our heart.
Right.
And when God sees that Linda, she's paying her tithes and she's been doing this for years.
Right.
I'm going to look out for that. I'm going to look out for her because she's serious about her paying her tithes and her getting closer to me. And he's been watching me like a magnifying glass, watching me. And I believe within my heart, that's why I have what I have today. And not only am I mortgage free, but I'm completely debt-free, praise be to God.
Oh, wow. In these last few seconds that we got left, we've been talking about your mortgage. How many years did you actually take to pay off this 30-year mortgage?
It took me 17 years.
17 and half the time. 17 years she has paid off her mortgage. And y'all, for those of you, I keep saying I went to bed at 30, I'm now over 60. Retirement is here, is not that far away. Wouldn't it be nice to go into retirement with your home paid for, debt-free? We've spent a lot of time today sharing the principles of God, stewardship, tithing, getting yourself in position to be debt-free and to be blessed by God. So we hope that what we've shared with you today will bless your life, that you will really take a hard, serious think about how you've been handling your finances. And we're definitely going to have Linda back because she said so much today that we really could have expounded on. I've got lots of other financial tips for you on KW Brown Ministries platform, the K2K digital platform. So subscribe today, look for those tips, and continue to be blessed. Once again, this is Woman to Woman with Elder Valerie.